Hey friends, and happy Clay Week! I'm so excited to create some pinch pot monsters with you all today. To get started, you will need a lump of clay, you will need a clay tool that has a pointy end, and then you will need a container of something that is called slip. It is a clay and water mixture. Step number one is to break your piece of clay in half, set one aside for details, and then create something that is called a pinch pot. Now, some of you may know this technique, some of you may not. So if you know this technique and you notice that somebody around you is struggling a little bit, please help them today. Making a pinch pot involves rolling out a ball of clay and then taking your thumb, pressing a hole into the center of the clay, and then from there you quite literally pinch the clay to make a bowl shape. Use your thumb and all four of your fingers. This helps you get a even kind of width along your bowl. You want it to be as even as you possibly can. This thing won't stand up very well if you don't. To find a good thickness for your clay, you can use the pencil test. You want your clay to be about as thick as a pencil is, no thinner and no thicker, because if it is thinner than a pencil, it will fall to kind of bits and crumble in the kiln, or maybe even crumble before it gets to the kiln. If it is too thick, it will do the same. So then you get to decide what kind of a shape you want for the monster's mouth. I'm going to keep mine pretty wide so it looks like it's yelling something, but you can make it as thin or flattened out as you want to. Here I'm going to take a few moments to use my slip. This is my clay and water mixture, and I'm going to smooth down any rough edges or bumps that I notice. When you're using clay, your hands like to absorb the moisture that's in the clay, so you'll notice cracks start to form. This is a really good time to pause and smooth out those cracks. Next step is to join the pieces of clay together to make details for your monster. Now, one really easy way to create details is to flatten some pieces out, draw onto that flat piece of clay what you want the detail to look like, and then cut it out. So here you'll see that I'm making a tongue for my monster. I've got a flattened slab of clay. I'm going to draw a tongue, and you remember you have total creativity and freedom with this project, so you can make these things however you want to. So if you want it to have a lizard tongue like mine, you can do that. If you want it to have a tongue that looks like a person, you can do that too. You have total freedom with the details that you can add to your project here today. Now, to get two pieces of clay to stick together, I want you to think about Velcro and the way that Velcro sticks together. They have two rough edges that join together. You need to make your clay like that. So what I was just doing is something that is called scoring. That's a technique where you scratch the surface of the clay that you want to attach, and then you scratch the surface of the area where you want to attach the clay. Remember, thinking like Velcro, two rough areas. And then you use your slip to kind of fill in some of those cracks. And then you press the clay into itself. Kind of put a little bit of pressure behind it. Don't worry if any of your pieces mess up. You can always go back and fix them. But I promise you, friends, you have to do this technique to make sure that your clay pieces stick together. If you do not score, they will not stick together and they will fall to pieces when the clay dries out totally. And that is it, my friends. When you are finished, you need to leave your clay piece in the cart that is by the door. Make sure that you put it under the 5th grade section. There are 2 rows for you here. Also, be sure to write your initials on the bottom piece of your clay monster. That way, there is no question about whose monster belongs to who. Good luck, and I cannot wait to see what kind of crazy, kooky, maybe even scary monsters you can come up with today.